Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. As you know, I'm Jason Weiss. I am the host of the Ask Jason Weiss show. So it must be every other Thursday because here we are. Let me put my disclaimer in there like I always do. Although I am an attorney, I am not your attorney. You haven't retained me. You haven't paid me. And anything today is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, financial advice, security advice, or any type of advice, nothing today is that advice. All we are talking about is generics and samples, and nothing here is legal advice, and there is no attorney-client privilege. Now, today, we are going to talk about something that is very important to attorneys, clients, and the entire world, and we're going to talk about cybersecurity and security in general. So I have with me today Gabe Keding, who is a leader in both cybersecurity and lacrosse. Got to throw that in, lacrosse. That's how we know each other. And I say it all the time to people. People say to me all the time, how do you get business? How do you get clients? How do you work with people? And I say, find something you love and go out there and do the best you can and be involved. So I met Gabe because, in my humble opinion, the most complete defensive coordinating and coach and skill development person out there. He's taken my son and transformed him into a beast. And like I was saying to Gabe before, Gabe is like the fun uncle, right? The fun younger uncle. But Gabe is also very successful in many different areas. Personally, business-wide, lacrosse coach, so all of that. So he is a director of sales at SendSafely here in Florida, and he's able to go ahead and merge his sports background, his coaching background into business, and I love watching him continue to succeed, and it's just awesome. I feel like a proud pop. I'm not old, maybe old enough to be his dad, but I feel like a proud papa watching Gabe. So without any further ado, Gabe Keding, and he is the sales director for SendSafely. So Gabe, thank you for being on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for the very detailed and warm introduction. Appreciate all the love.
But it's 100% accurate, and that's what it's all about. Being honest, being accurate, and one of the things I love about you too is being accountable. Not like Gabe makes mistakes, but if he did, he'd be the first one to say, you know what, I'm going to man up. I'm going to take care of it. It's my problem, or something like that. Now, like I said, I met Gabe because of lacrosse with my son. And then Gabe was in the cybersecurity and sales and all of that. And one day I get a phone call from him saying, hey, you ever hear about this company called SendSafely? And I remember I was in Atlanta. I actually was at a funeral, I think, for Tova's grandmother. And I quickly looked on my phone. I'm like, oh, great company and all this and all that. You're like, yep, I'm going to be their new head of sales. I'm like, that's awesome. So Gabe, tell the world, what is SendSafely?
Absolutely. So SendSafely, we are an end-to-end file transfer platform. Really, I bill ourselves as the most malleable end-to-end encryption platform out there. So what we do, we help folks secure business flows. That could be if you're a lawyer communicating with your clients via email. Maybe that's via Slack. Maybe you're a larger business and you're collecting information from your clients via like a Zendesk or a Salesforce. We specifically specialize in encrypting and securing those business channels. So really encryption, offering privacy and making sure that those communications back and forth, whether you're a small business, you're a sole proprietor, you're a single man shop, or you're a large enterprise with thousands of customers.
So my question is, I have my domain, right? It's at jswlawyer.com. And let's just say I wanted to send you something at a Gmail account, right? I'm just going to make up an account, gabe@gmail.com.
Yep.
If I were a customer and using the platform the way it was supposed to be used, whatever I sent you, that would be totally secure?
It would be totally secure. And more than anything, it expires. So almost everything sent via SendSafely has an expiration date. The best
So it's
thing
like Snapchat.
it's like Snapchat for email, would be
Okay.
a way that you could look at it, or Snapchat for Salesforce tickets or Zendesk tickets. So the security piece of it, there are two keys to access that package, and SendSafely never manages either of them. So because of that, we're never able to see any of the data. On my computer tomorrow, we can't see anything that gets sent by their customers.
And it wouldn't matter if it's not internal, like I know if I send it to one of the guys that works with me or one of the ladies that works with me, it's internal, it's all safe. But sometimes when we go outside, and if I were to send it to you at your company, I think there's a level of security there. But if I were to send it to you at a Gmail account, just normal without SendSafely, there'd be no security, correct?
There'd be no security, and more than anything, that email lives forever. So a lot of folks, like, think of tax season. How often do you just send maybe a driver's license and your W-2? If that CPA or that tax office doesn't delete that email, it lives forever. So maybe they don't get breached. There's no hack for 20 years, but 20 years later, they get your social security number, everything they need to go and open up an account or take out a loan, all in one place.
And it's interesting you talked about tax, because that was the question I was going to talk about. One of my clients right now informed me, I think it went into effect a year or two ago, that if you have more than 10 employees, your 1099s with the IRS must be submitted electronically. So what my client wants to do to stay ahead of the curve is, my client no longer wants to have the account fill out the 1099, put it in the mail, do all this, because people say, I never got it, I moved, all of this. So they want to send it electronically. But the IRS rules are, and I just finished reading this, they talk about that if you want to send a 1099 to an independent contractor, it's got to be to a secure email address. Gmail is not secure. Yahoo is not secure. AOL is not secure. None of those are deemed secure. So if my client were to meet with you and pick this up and speak to you about it, my client wouldn't have a problem anymore, because it would be it'll be from client to independent contractor on your platform. And again, it disappears.
It disappears. We also, every security standard you can think of, all backed by SOC 2 Type 2. So, you're not only does it expire while it's passing through our platform, you're very confident about the way it's being handled. So absolutely, it's going to
Now,
be.
does the sender get a receipt? So if my client were to send it, do they get like a read receipt or a received receipt or something? Yes to both, yes to either.
So you beat me to it. So there's a deep audit log for every package that's sent. That's why we work with a number of law firms outside of the CPA side that are really just looking for a chain of custody. They need to make sure if they sent something, that it got opened, where it got opened, which IP address opened it. So on the tax side, we are right now, up until April, we probably see a 20-30% uplift in leads these first 3 months. And it's a lot of 1 to 15 person shops. So we have a complete playbook for this. We have folks coming in every day saying, hey, I used to handle things via fax. I used to send things via maybe another secure email provider, but that secure email provider has been leaked or hacked in the last 12 months, and they're switching over. So we see it daily, especially for the smaller firms, and they're looking for an easy way to do it.
Right. And that was one of the questions I was going to have. I mean, we're reading about it every single day, every day. I got something about an article today about AT&T is being, nailed for a data breach. And I think Home Depot just had a data breach, and one of the other, big box stores, data breach. So I don't think we can ever prevent a data leak or data breach like 100%, but, it sounds like the system that you guys have would, be very, very small chance of that. Is that an accurate statement?
Exactly. Yeah. If the data is expiring, if let's say we take 90% of your email correspondence and we make sure it expires after 30 days, it just makes you such a safer risk, because there's nothing that, even if something were breached, say they got into your Gmail, all of the things that you're sending back and forth have expired in those last 30 days.
Now, how does that work? Because I keep intentionally, because I have to, I keep the emails that come from my clients. So is there a way to make it so that like it's not released? Or I mean, because we need that as a paper trail all the time. Oh, I remember back when you first retained me in 2022. You told me that you would settle for X amount of dollars, and here we are in 2024, and I got you X amount of dollars, and you're not happy. But I go into my system and my email's gone.
Yep. So the metadata of what happened is always going to be there. And this is in our send and receive, really like think of our encrypted email or encrypted transfer. We also have really two other features. We have a workspace, which is some place where you can hold things long term and they will not expire there. So anytime you get a package, you send a package and you think, hey, I'm going to hold on to this. This is that 10 or 20% of things I do want to keep long term. You can easily copy to a workspace and it will stay there until it's deleted. With the send and receive, the things that are expiring, you're still going to have an audit log of, who sent what IP address, where it was opened. Just the actual file that may have all that PII or the thing that you're trying to secure, that's been expired.
Gotcha. So, but the content of the email that'll exist by default forever, or do you have to go ahead and manually override the deletion?
You can manually do it, or we can set up scripts where it's automatically looking for certain emails and certain types of emails and just putting them down long term.
Right, because and again, I know from me, I opened my law firm in 2012. I know for a fact I've had servers crash once or twice. I've lost some emails, I've lost some data, I've lost that, but all in all, I probably have 75% of everything from the day I opened, and it's helped me. I've had clients come back to me and say, hey, remember you worked on that lease for me? I'll be like, yeah, that was 2014. Well, I need it because I lost it. And I can go right into my email box and it's there.
So we have a number of law firms that use this. One of our biggest partners, they're an MSP specifically for law firms. They specialize in law firms that are between 10 to 150 employees. And it's really Midwest, Western US as far as their client base. But they are the IT team. They are the IT arm for these law firms.
Gotcha.
And they'll come in and they'll set up a number of different workspaces for each client. So anytime there's communication going back and forth, they'll just take that communication and they'll pull it down for that client. And then there's just a glossary of workspaces that have a history of all the back and forth and all of the documents between the client and that specific lawyer or paralegal, whoever needs to see it. That's the other key piece here is instead of you just holding everything in one big data lake of an email, where if you get in, it's all there. We're going to separate things. So maybe you have some lawyers and some paralegals that need access to client X, Y, and Z, but they never need to see client A, B, and C. We can separate so that folks are only seeing the cases or the clients that are pertinent to them. They can't just go and peruse all of the PII that other folks are collecting in other cases.
And that's really key, and that's really important, especially we've had these some of my clients, we've had like mandatory inspections where the court will assign somebody and they go in and they're looking for certain keywords. It could be sale of boat, and they look that in, and SAIL of boat, not SALE of boat, and then boat shoes and boat man and boat, so it narrows it all down. And I like the fact that it also will keep it, because again, we have an obligation to keep certain things. And I was just dealing with this with a client the other day where they said, hey, we're a Nevada-based company. Nevada requires us to keep all employee records for federally for a year. Nevada requires it for 4 years. What should we do? I said, be safe, keep it for 5. What's the harm? Yep. Well, data space and all this and all that. I'm like, okay, well, back it up in the cloud. And I said to them, look at one of these programs like SendSafely. And he's like, oh, okay, sure, I'll look into that. Chances are I got to prod him a little bit more to do it, but do that. And with data breaches and security, I mean, this is the way to go. So I guess the question is, and it's a softball question, but why aren't more companies using it? Maybe me as a 2 or 3 person shop, it might not be, but you're talking you got 10 people on your staff. Why are you not using this? Why is that not there? Have you heard from, potential people that have decided not to, like, what their reasoning is? I mean, I'm guessing it's people don't want to spend $1, but other than that, I mean, I can't see a reason why somebody wouldn't want this.
Yeah, it's really awareness. Once they've been a part of a hack, or maybe they're at a business that's experienced the hack. There was the big hack in Vegas where a number of hotels went down last fall. The awareness in our sector, I'm sure for our company and other competitive firms and adjacent firms, we just saw a huge uplift where, if you can shut down a major hotel and really affect everyone's lives, everyone went home and started thinking, how's that going to affect my small business? How's that going to affect my 200-person IT firm that I really wasn't thinking about it before? So awareness is a big piece. And then typically how we overcome that, even if people are worried about spending investing
$1
in a tool, it's the savings and insurance. When you make yourself more secure, you're at better risk. So if you can save 1, 2, 3, 4% on your cyber insurance or on your overall insurance, liability insurance, because you're not holding on to loads of PII anymore, you're expiring all of it, and you're putting what you do need into a very safe place. Really offsets the cost that you're investing in a tool like this. But it's just
and those are the types of questions that customers have to ask, right? So when we moved into our house, first thing was my wife wanted to put on, it had an alarm system. She wanted to, pay for this service. And I'm like, I don't want to pay for it. We live in a nice community and there's a gate and there's a guard and all this. And my wife called the insurance company and said, hey, if we install an alarm, how will it affect our insurance? And they're like, oh, it'll go down, $22 a month. And my wife's like, Jay, it's only $16 a month for the alarm. So we're going to, I just saved us, $7 a month. I'm like, all right, you win.
Yes, that's the one thing I've really picked up on, especially in the last couple of years, shifting specifically to cybersecurity and moving away really just from SaaS experience, obviously, is if you make the right decision and you buy the right tool and you invest to be safe, usually you get paid back, whether it's from insurance companies, it's getting favorable position when you go to bid on public projects. If you have done things the right way, you start to build this persona that people want to do business with you. They want to give you all their PII. They want to give you things that are sensitive because you're doing things the right way. Now,
I guess the next question I have is, let's just say one of my clients decides to secure, right? They sign a contract, they start using SendSafely, and their outside vendors don't use SendSafely. How do you? I'm sure there's an answer, but what happens in that scenario? So let's just say, ask Jason Weiss, right? I retain, I pay, and I get on a plan and I get whatever, and now I can send encrypted messages, but client A is not a participant in SendSafely. How would that work?
That's really where we shine, is that we don't charge for any collaboration with outside users. You only have to pay for the folks that are at your domain. From there, we're agnostic to what that person uses. We're not going to make them create an account or a free account with us, which is a big barrier for a lot of file transfer services. Sign up for a free account with us. We just give you a PIN code, or you can authenticate with Google or Microsoft. So you just sign in with Google, sign in with Microsoft, and that encrypted message or file or request for one, which is the bigger one, a request, hey, send me something, just populates for you. It's going to work with Google, Microsoft, and then it's extremely mobile friendly. So we have a lot of clients that they may license 2,000 or 3,000 agents internally, but those agents are using SendSafely to communicate with hundreds of thousands of people.
And of course, internally, you get that extra layer of protection as well.
Exactly. And outside of security, when you encrypt, you also compress. So you can send very large files. So we have some folks that come to us and say, they should be, but they're not worried at all about security. They just need to send a 3 or 4 gigabyte file like 6-7 times a day, or they need people to be able to send them very large video files. That's also someone who's a great candidate for SendSafely. I'd say a third of our customers are very worried about file size in this new world of AI and MP4s and large videos.
And right, and the videos. I mean, I know that's where I was dealing with an insurance company recently for a client that was in a car accident, and they're like, "Can you send the video?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Go ahead and give me your cell phone number." They're like, "What do you mean cell phone number?" I'm like, "Well, the client sent it to me through a text. It's a 2-minute video. I have it. I tried sending it to you, and it got bounced back." They're like, "Oh, we can't take anything for more than 10 megs." I'm like, or 10, whatever it was, 10. And I'm like, that does me no good. This is like 400. What do you want me to do? Oh, download it to a CD and send it. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
And
there's
she's
still
like,
not a good solution, which is insane. You think nowadays that it'd be easy to flip, even just a short video. Yeah, so SendSafely, you can send files up to 100 gigabytes, and you can send up to 99 files in one package. So basically, you get a terabyte, and you can just flip over an email, almost 100x more than what you're getting in just regular email and Gmail.
and then when that hits your inbox, it won't clog up your entire inbox because it's not technically there. You're going, I'm guessing, like into the cloud or some sort of other platform because
Access it and SendSafely. You're going to decrypt it and SendSafely, and then even preview that video and watch it within SendSafely.
And you don't have to download it to your computer to bog up your entire system and all that. I know that every once in a while, I get excited because I haven't gotten an email in 5 minutes, and it's like, woo, no emails. Yeah, I'm good to go. And then all of a sudden, I get this huge email with this huge, all these photos and all this stuff, and then all the emails that were blocked behind it, bing, 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 bing. So it's like, shit. I enjoyed the 5 minutes, and that's it. And I said the bad word shit, so I might as well plug my book, Shit They Never Taught You in Law School: The Survival Guide to Navigating the Law. It's out. It's for sale. Gabe's name is actually mentioned in there. He is Coach Gabe in there because, like I said, what he's done in the business world is awesome. And I'm going to transition a little bit into lacrosse because one of the things that Gabe does is he has coached in the lacrosse community down here in South Florida for 10 plus years. And he is now part of the coaching staff for a rival high school. We will not be talking about that, but we will be seeing Coach Gabe and a lot of my son's former teammates this weekend at the Battle of the South, like we like to call it. But one of the things that Gabe gets to do when he's coaching is he gets to talk to the parents about what is SendSafely and about their businesses. He also gets to show the young men that he's molding their futures, like what it takes. And I hate to get off subject, but I will for a second. I took one of the gentlemen that works with me to a client yesterday, and the client owns a call center. And he walked through and he's like, I never knew what was on the other side of the phone. And he's like, it was interesting. And I said, yeah, you got to see all different people in all different walks of life. You had people that are in the call room. You have people that are talking about encryption and business. So all of these boys that you get to coach, they get to see like, hey, this guy played lacrosse and he went to college and he did all this. And he's coming back and he's giving back to the community. But what does he do for a living? He drove a nice car and he wears nice clothing. So it's I think additional support of you work hard in school, you do the right things, you make the smart decisions, you're loyal to your friends and family, and look what you could have. And then, honoring somebody like you who's going back and giving back to the lacrosse community. It's very refreshing. And it's funny because if I tell Logan, hey, I'm wearing a black shirt, he's not going to believe me. But if Coach Gabe tells him, hey, your dad's wearing a black shirt, Logan's going to be like, yeah, I know. I agree. And to hear it from somebody like you is awesome. So my whole point behind this is, it's you've gained the respect of a lot of the boys and a lot of the parents. And, we're all grateful for everything that you do. And, if we could help you and your company, I know you don't own it, but, if we could help, it's all there. And this is just another example of, paving the way for the future. Because I think with all these data breaches and everything, we've got to figure something out. I was affected twice. I think Home Depot and AT&T in the past, 30 days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very safe about it. And I still get an email probably once a month, whether it's a video game account I signed up for in college. A popular basketball game has been breached. You get an email about it. But going back to what you're saying, how the two connect, business and lacrosse. I think a big piece of it has been really just communicating with people. When I got down here, I had never really coached before. I was just getting out of college at 21. I had never made a cold call, and I did not think I was going to be a salesperson with a political science and environmental science degree. But really just, whether it was working with the parents and at talking to you all through lacrosse about your businesses and how you're doing things and just little stuff, taxes, how you guys buy cars, when to buy a home, all the little stuff. I just started thinking about a couple of years earlier than I would have because you were all talking to me about it. And then on the flip side, I feel like I'm almost doing that for these kids now. They're in high school. I'm talking about, well, really, what kind of job are you going to get? Really, where do you think you want to live? Like, what kind of career do you think you want to have? So I've been very fortunate. I think we've produced some of the best players in the country. But I would say, especially the team that you're talking about, this 2025 team, we produced 20 kids that are just awesome men. Like they're 16, 17, and they are men already. When they go to be, ship off to college, the folks in the schools that are getting them are getting great people.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking that. So he's over at St. Thomas. We're at St. Andrews. They are bitter rivals on the lacrosse field, and it's even more rivalry this year because we were talking before that 12 of the boys all played on the same team together. They all played at the World Series of Youth Lacrosse. We were in DC, right? I think it was in DC, yeah. And they all played and they were all teammates. Well, now they're kind of 50-50 split between the two schools. So this is going to be, a big thing. But like you said, all of these boys, whether they're going to go play club or if they're going to go play at the cream of the crop, schools like Notre Dame,
Yep.
They all have that lacrosse. They all have that bond, that teammate. But the biggest thing is that pay it forward, right? Someone told me how to do this kind of stuff. I have no problem telling you. You listen, you interpret it your way. Then you tell my son, who doesn't want to hear it from me, but he'll listen to you. And it's just an amazing thing to watch. And all of these boys, they still, to this day, Coach Gabe, and you help out with college recruiting, what to do, what not to do, little things on the field, how to meet girls, how to meet boys, how to meet clients, how to meet, whatever it is. And, they all look up to you. And that should just be a great, a great feeling. I love when Logan comes home and they're like, Dad, my friends like you because, you roast coffee or you drive, a car or you'll let me go out, whatever. And, we're always trying to be that cool person, but at the same time, go back to our roots and remember where we came from. And that's one of the things that's great about you. You're extremely humble and you're always just trying to better everyone around you as opposed to just, bettering yourself. So, I'm giving Gabe some praise here and you see his head, he's growing and he's blushing and all this, but one of the things that I like is that you're also, an entrepreneur. You're always looking. I learned about, and I'm going to say it wrong, but the digital pictures, they were the monkeys that were smoking, cigars.
NFTs.
What is it?
NFTs.
I didn't know what an NFT was. And then one day at lacrosse, Gabe comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, check out this NFT that I did." I'm like, "Huh? What?" Like, R return to sender? No, that's RTS. I had to go quickly. Like, I grabbed Logan. I'm like, "What's an NFT?" He's like, "Oh, Dad, that blah, 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 blah." So all about that and the crypto space and all of that. So one of the things that I like, and this is another plug for SendSafely, you seem to stay like with it or one step ahead of the curve, or at least with the curve, or one step behind. So where do you see, like, what's the next I'm picking your brain. What's the next big thing? Like what's next? Because crypto, I think it's dead. People will disagree with me, but what's the next thing that the youth is going to be all in?
Well, I very much hope that crypto is still alive, and I think it is. But I think it's really AI, especially over the last 3 months. I think the crypto and the NFT space, a lot of it was a bubble, and it still is a bubble. I think eventually that technology will end up being legitimate, will be leaned on, and be valuable. With AI, I mean, already right now, I think it provides me maybe 1,000x return on my dollar on a daily basis, just as far as activities I'm able to complete. So I'd say, AI in general, ChatGPT being the leader, just absolutely transformative technology. And if I were a kid in high school, it's funny, 2 weeks ago, we were flying back from a trip for Annapolis, and a couple of seniors asked me, hey, what would you do as we're sitting in the airport if you're a senior right now? I said, get a ChatGPT subscription, and I would try to be the best at it. Just little tricks, create your own company off it. I would just try to be it's like the next YouTube or the next Google, be the first couple of kids in there. I mean, if Jake Paul told someone years ago he was going to make as much money as he did off YouTube when it was just getting started, no one would have thought so.
Nobody. And so, I mean, AI from a legal standpoint, it's very interesting because, you're grabbing stuff out there, you're doing whatever, who has copyrights, who has protections, who has whatever, what's put out there. Because, look, I used to be in the space where somebody would take something, they would Google, right? Fancy sports car, and a Ferrari would pop up. And they would take that and they'd put it on their website and they'd be like, I'm buying and selling fancy sports cars. Well, guess what? Whoever took that image or created that drawing or did whatever, they had rights to that. And we were telling people, hey, you got to take it down. And not only you got to take it down, but you got to pay a royalty because I own the copyright and I own this and I own that. So, if AI is going out there and scouring the net and coming up with what they think based on all of these things, I think we're opening up a whole new, like Pandora's box of legal, right? Because maybe I'm wrong. When you say come up for a red sports car, right? If you put that into AI or Chat GPT, I want a picture of a red sports car. What's the result?
It's going to give you probably generically at first. It's going to depend on what your responses were before. If you've asked it for an image before, it'd be a very like cartoon-esque one, most likely. If that was your very first thing you ever gave it. Now, but you could say, give me a Bugatti or a Ford Mustang, whatever, and it would attempt to do that. So the image and the audio piece is where I think copyright law will come up first. But as far as it being valuable without stepping on anyone's toes, as an example, like a commission model. I know you work with a ton of sales leaders. Mm-hmm. If each year you go and you want to tweak your commission model, that traditionally would take weeks if you're really efficient and you had a couple of really sharp data analysts or CPAs or accountants on hand, maybe a month or two if you were doing it on your own or maybe just one assistant. With ChatGPT, that's legitimately, and with AI, a few hours because you can run simulations of what it looks like if an A, B, and C player goes through this model. Now do it with this model. Now try it with this model. Actually make the A player 20% better earner. You can start to do this math that would have taken a long time effortlessly. So I think the copyright, the generation of original images is going to be tough. You're totally right. And I think it's already seen it. Like you see it now with these celebrities getting their likeness used on Twitter for explicit photos, and they immediately, somebody gets it taken down. So they
do. Because there's certain copyright and likeness issues and laws and all of that kind of stuff. And so I had, I don't remember, it was a couple months ago. I think I had, it was probably either a trademark attorney or an intellectual property attorney. So it was either John Bradley or Alice Denberg, one of those. We were speaking about like AI. And I said that I thought that we as humans would never be replaced. AI is like Batman with his utility belt, right? You still need Batman to take out the Bat Star and throw it, but you now have the Bat Star in your belt, And that's what AI is. AI is a tool in your toolbox to use. It's the best driver in golf. It's the best hammer at Home Depot. It's the best pair of pliers at Lowe's. That's what AI is. How you use it, well, shoot, I'm a terrible golfer. I could have the best golf club in the world, and it's not going to help me. I still have to take lessons on how to use it. And that's where I think, like what you said, that's where if I were a senior in high school, yeah, learn how to use AI, learn how to use Chat GPT, learn it so that you can come in and say, look, I'm certified in Chat GPT or AI or whatever it is. I can run that for you. Now, when they run all the scenarios, is there some sort of like safety net or testing or something afterwards? Because in the legal world, someone wrote a brief with AI months and months, even a year ago, and it made cases up.
I read that. So you can ask it to check itself, and then ultimately it's on the user. You need to have someone sanity check it. You should have someone else sanity check it that didn't create the content with the AI. But
you were talking about like the spreadsheets with commissions, right? If it would take good people that knew what they were doing weeks and weeks and weeks, and it only takes Chat GPT or AI, let's say a day, how long would it take the team to review that work product? Is that only a couple of days, or
to review the one model, probably a couple of days that you go with, but you got to run 6 or 7 models against each other and then say, all right, this is the one I prefer. And then you can take it back to them and have them check it. And in these checks, it's been right.
Now, where did you learn? Because I know you're very into AI and you're constantly, where did you learn? Like if Logan said to you, Coach Gabe, I want to learn about AI, like where would you point him?
This would be the advice I give to anyone. I am a habitual button presser. I just whenever I get any UI of any kind, maybe it's because I was introduced to the internet later. I didn't get Wi-Fi until I was like 18 because I grew up in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York. Whenever there was a PlayStation, a first computer, whatever it was, the idea of like clicking on each button in a UI or wherever I'm at, it just seems very natural to me. So playing around with it, I think the first time I heard about ChatGPT, I just went and downloaded it right away, and I just started playing with it and asking things.
And that's why you have to work for a company like SendSafely, because you're constantly clicking URLs, and hopefully that'll be like, hey, malware, don't click here. And you'll be like, oh man, whatever.
Exactly.
So we got about 2 minutes left, and I always save my hardest question for last. So let's see. What streaming service do you have? Netflix, Paramount, all of them?
I recently cut them down. I'm down to Netflix and Apple TV and YouTube.
Okay. Best thing you've watched in the past 60 days?
Best thing I've watched in the last 60 days. I've been so busy the last 60 days. This is a bad time to ask me.
In 2024, I'll give you that. I'll make it 180 days. Or 120 days.
The documentary on Netflix about the plane that went down in the Alps, the Society in the Snow.
Okay. I have not seen that, but I'm going to add that to my list. And I forgot the name of it. It's on Apple TV. It's the story of John Wilkes Booth shooting Lincoln. I didn't give anything away because everybody knows John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln. I forgot what it was called. It's like The Hunted or something like that. The only negative I have about the show is they only release it a week at a time. And when my wife and I started watching it, we ripped through it in like 2 nights. And now we have to wait for every Friday night to come out. So that's it. I'll give you one more.
I'll put one more, because if you're talking Apple TV, I would say, especially if you're in business or in sports, you have to be a Ted Lasso fan.
Oh, yeah.
I have these Believe stickers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a soccer fan. I'm not even a huge Jason Sudeikis fan, but I love Ted Lasso. It's a big piece of the culture I preach across, of the culture I preach here. It is an awesome show.
And a friend of mine just was overseas, and he did the Ted Lasso tour. They have a tour and they take you to all these things. He said it was good. He said it wasn't great, but whatever. So greatest lacrosse player of all time?
It's tough because where I'm from. Jim Brown. He was unstoppable.
And not he's the only player, the only person to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame and the Lacrosse College Hall of Fame and the NFL Hall of Fame. And it's funny, when we were at the World Series and they were doing all these clips and all these kids were saying like Paul Rabel and Matt Rambo and all this, I got filmed saying Jim Brown.
They changed the rule. Before him, you used to be able to put the stick against your chest. He was so strong, no one could take it off his chest. They changed it, so you have to cradle.
Yep. So, well, we're going to be seeing a lot of each other this weekend and a lot of lacrosse. I thank you for coming on the show. I thank you for not getting into the rivalry. One of the things that is a little bit different about Gabe as to some of the other guests is that because Gabe gets inundated with so many requests and so many sales things, if you saw during the show, and for those of you that are listening, you can get him on LinkedIn. That's the best place to get him. You can find him at, it's on the screen, but if you look in Gabriel, Gabriel hyphen Keding, Keding, and then a whole bunch of numbers, you'll see him. He's at SendSafely. You will see him there. I strongly recommend checking it out. I am going to be passing this on to a couple of my clients because you answered the questions that I had. And again, it's great. 1099s for next year. You want to send them electronically? SendSafely. Encrypted. You're golden. Coach Gabe, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you Saturday night after the game. One of us will have a win. One of us will have a loss. I'm not jinxing anybody, but I wish all the boys nothing but success. The old man, nothing but success. And the successful young guy, nothing but success. Thank you for being on the show. And check out SendSafely, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason, for everything over the years. And looking forward to a great game Saturday night and a handshake afterwards.
You got it. I want a hug.
Yeah, big hug.
All right, cool. And thank you, home of Going Bold Media, streamingnetwork.com, for everything and always. CC, thanks for running the back, and you have an amazing team. Thank you so much, and everybody, have a good one.
Bye, everyone.